Hello everyone, my name is Christian Diaz, and today I will do a presentation on empowering athletes advocacy, the case for political expression and activism in sports. I will be sharing why my beliefs are that athletes should have a voice, just like everyone else, when it comes to politics and issues going around the world and the country, and they should be able to share this on their feeds and through sports. So a little bit of background in sports and politics. In recent years, sports have become increasingly intertwined with politics, resulting in a diversive response from the public. Contrary to being truly polarizing, those opposing politics in sports often align with the ideas athletes are protesting. The phrase "shut up and just play" is commonly directed at athletes who voice political or social opinions, questioning why athletes should be silent when they have the same rights to express themselves as anyone else. Regardless of profession, individuals with a platform should use it to promote positive messages and counterattack hate. However, when athletes engage in activism, they often face more resistance compared to other celebrities, which is a problem. Athletes like LeBron James transcend their roles as sport figures, actively advocating for change in their communities and beyond. It's essential to recognize that athletes, like everyone else, have the right to express their political views publicly, given that they are individuals with professional convictions and concerns. Here, I speak a little bit on acceptance of athlete activism. And this is a chart that I took from a research article that took the views about athletes speaking out in political issues with age, race, and ethnicity, and also the party that they're in. So in this part, you can see all adults, 34% are very in agreement with this, 28% somewhat, and 17% not at all. This shows that the people who are with this idea that athletes should be able to speak out on political issues is a 62%, and the ones that are against it is a 35%. Also, it shows the difference by age in marks of 18 to 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 64, and 65 and above. Here, just to point out, older people seem to be the ones that care the least or have the biggest headbutts when it comes to if they're against or with athletes speaking out on political issues, with the vote being 47% not in agreement and 50% in agreement. So the views of athlete political expressions can vary throughout the ages, the races, the ethnicities. Here we can see that in ages 18 to 29 being the youngest age group in this study, 29% was not in agreement, and a very high 74% was in agreement that athletes should speak about political issues. And if we go to the ages of 30 to 49, we can see that 31% are not in agreement, and 67%, being the bigger margin, is in agreement. When we go to 50 to 64, again, it hits more of a meet in the middle and more of a division. It is 55 that's in agreement and 42% that is not in agreement. When we talk about race, we can see that 56% of whites care and 42 don't really want it. Now, when we look at the minorities and we look at the Black community, for example, only 14% is in disagreement and a high 79% is in agreement. In Hispanics, 69% is in agreement and 28% is in disagreement, also being a big gap. So here we can see that minorities, being the Black and Hispanics, are the highest ones to rate on athletes being able to speak on political issues. When we see Republicans, there's actually a higher percentage of Republicans who believe that athletes should not participate in political issues and open up about political issues. And in the opposite end, Democrats have an 80% of them who believe athletes should be involved with political issues and speak about them freely. Here we can also see that the racial and ethnic minorities are more likely to support athletes' political expression, that being 79% of Blacks and Americans and I'm sorry, and 69% of American and Hispanics, and only 56% in whites. Here we can see that all adults, or in the overall, about 4 in 10 Black adults in the US say that it's important for athletes they support to share the political views. Here we can see all adults is a bigger margin in disagreements and only a 22% in agreements. Whites being 58% and 15% in agreements. And in the contrary, we see a more divided decision or vote in Blacks and Hispanics. Another big difference, like I said earlier, is that around 80% of Democrats are the ones who support athletes speaking out, and 42 Republicans are also the ones that believe athletes should speak out. So it's actually a bigger side of Republicans who believe otherwise. Um, Attitudes also differ regarding the importance of athletes sharing political views, with 43% of Black adults and only 31% of Hispanic adults finding it important, and very little with the 15% of white adults. Challenges that athletes face. Athletes are just regular people, not living in isolation from the world. They're actually very popular and their voices are very loud if they could be heard. Like everyone else, they're aware of current events, especially when they're often in the public eye. They have the same rights as anyone else to express their opinions, both as private citizens and public figures. And many famous athletes are people of color, belonging to marginalized groups facing political turmoil. Despite this, athletes are often apologize, my video cut off. So back to what I was saying. Despite this, athletes are often punished for speaking out, either by the public or by the sports they in the teams that they play for. So the sport organizations they play for. Examples including LeBron James being told shut up and dribble after discussing racism, and Colin Kaepernick being unofficially banned from the NFL for protesting police brutality. These two examples are very impactful because those are two athletes that have a lot of followers in social media. They have a lot of successful attributes in their sports and were known by a lot of different individuals. Backlash against athletes' activism stems from discomfort with social political issues being raised during sporting events. This all took a big spur when the Black Lives Matter movement started and when the voting elections of the last term were going on. However, asking athletes to stay silent on issues that directly impact them is hard to justify, even for the sake of the audience comfort. Although some people might think that because they're athletes and they're just supposed to be playing the game, like I've said before, they have a big voice and they're known by a lot of people. So whatever they can put out for the better of whatever they think it's the right opinion, it should be put out. So the conclusion that I have is that athletes, like everyone else, have the right to express their political views. They are aware of current events and have the responsibility to use their platforms for important issues. Despite facing backlash, especially athletes of color, silencing them during sporting events isn't fair. Athletes' perspectives are valuable and deserve to be heard in shaping important conversations and promoting positive change in society. My take is once more, we all have the same rights. We all live in the same country. We should all be treated equal when it comes to your personal point of view. Just because you're an athlete, you should not be treated any different than anyone else. Thank you guys for listening to my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions or want to keep researching this on your own, here I have a set of citations that I use to create my presentation. So you can go into any of these pages and you'll be able to find all the information that I pulled out from them. They're great and have a lot of data to back up why even when they put the charts of the percentages of who was against and who was, in agreement that athletes should speak out and their voice should be heard, there's still a majority of people that think athletes should be heard. So that was a really good source of information that I found to prove that most of us do want athletes to be able to express their feelings and express their political point of views. Again, thank you guys for watching my presentation.